Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July 2026 edition of Tech Tuesdays with Darrow Associates, now in our fifth year of this series. I'm Jordan Darrow. It's a pleasure to be here with you. This is our monthly IR Technology and Services Showcase held on the first Tuesday of each month from 11 to 11:30 Eastern Time. Given the Independence Day holiday, we moved the July 2026 presentation to the second Tuesday of the month. I wanted to get that out there to avoid any confusion. Um, our events are a one-stop destination to find the right products and service providers to maximize your effectiveness and ensure you have the tools to achieve your investor relations goals. Each showcase provides a continuing education platform for our partners to demonstrate their cutting-edge offerings and best practices to our staff, our clients, and other friends of the firm. A different IR tool is covered each month. Our sessions are provided in a virtual format with a screen share presentation led by the presenting partner for approximately 15 minutes, followed by a 10-minute Q&A session. For this installation, we're pleased to have Cassie Bordash from TWST MeetMax to speak with us today about the influence of AI on their platform. As she talks with us, you'll see her screen and all audio lines will be left open so you may ask questions at any time. If you don't want to be heard or have background noise, please disable your microphone. Cass, welcome to Tech Tuesdays with Darrow Associates, and thank you for being our partner today. I'll turn the event over to you so that you can present your platform to our viewers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jordan. I really appreciate being here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and then we can go ahead and get started. My topic today is really the influence of AI and how it's affected us here at TWST Events, and also how it's affecting corporate access as a whole. Jordan, can I just get a nod that you're seeing it for me?
Yep, we're seeing it.
Amazing. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so quick, who are we? So Twist Events is a culmination of three divisions: MeetMax, SummitCast, and Planet AV. Quickly on each of those, MeetMax is the software behind all of the tools that we offer our clients from beginning to end from an event technology standpoint, mainly in the capital markets corporate access space. MeetMax is integrated into our other two divisions, SummitCast and Planet AV. SummitCast, which I am confident folks on this call or listening to this recording have heard of before. SummitCast is our professional webcasting service, and provides many services with reference to webcasting, and all along the service model, starting with like really professional on site with operators and backup operators, all the way to like a self-serve webinar, similar to what you would get potentially if you utilize Zoom. And then lastly, our Planet AV division is our audio-visual division for on-site needs, starting with your most basic of on-site check-in and on-demand badge printing, all the way to sort of like custom solutions. I don't have it for this particular presentation because of the time limit, but I will be sharing with Jordan and team a full deck that includes some of those services so that you can have it at your disposal. Moving on to the industries we support, we are our primary industries we support are basically the investment conference space and the corporation investor relations space, as well as associations. Reason being, our software MeetMax's bread and butter is creating a one-to-one meeting program, whether that be because of investment conferences or because of a like buyer seller, any sort of buyer seller dynamic that you can think of. And it affects these industries the most. Specifically on investor relations, I just want to touch on the services and sort of the more specific services we offer. For on-site teams, we have like live webcasting, like I said, via SummitCast, audiovisual services, and the pre-registration aspect of these kinds of events, as well as virtual services for virtual roadshows and earnings calls, analyst calls, etc. As well as creating a one-to-one meeting schedule, as I've previously mentioned. Now, moving on to sort of the actual topic of today's discussion, the influence of AI in corporate access. We have five today, and there are so many, but these are the five that we have identified and the five that we are actively incorporating into our solutions as of now. I'd love to talk about other ones with anybody who's interested, so always feel free to reach out. I'm sure Jordan will share my contact information. The first and the most prominent, which you've heard and are probably seeing amongst tech platforms that you're using, your tech stack, is how to get my everyday questions answered instantly. How do I run this report? How do I move attendees' meetings to someone or someone else that might be coming? It's very often that an attendee is coming to an event and then last minute, things change, someone else is coming instead. So giving our event organizers the tools to easily make those changes is really important to us and saves their valuable time. In our world, we call this like a virtual support agent. You ask open-ended questions and the platform about the platform, and the agent answers instantly for you. Um, We're currently training an AI model on how to use the MeetMax platform. And some of our core clients are actually piloting this virtual agent right now. Um, and connecting this particular tool with our support tooling and ticketing platform allows us to, even if the answer is not immediately answered for you, create a support ticket with the context of the conversation. Moving on to actually doing the setting up and managing of events, something like build me a webinar or an analyst day or a virtual roadshow with XYZ features on ABC date, time, location, etc. Um, we actually have on our side something we define as template events for all different event types, like I said, whether it be webinar, analyst day, virtual roadshow, etc. And it stores all those like settings, features, and configurations so that it can be easily cloned for the next event. But in a future state, a prompt like the one that I've italicized here could utilize a template that's been created and make it for you, saving lots of time. Moving on to the third bullet point here is rapid transcripts and summaries of company presentations. This is something that with Summitcast's professional webcasting services, we're offering to clients right now. It essentially gives you instant access to what has been said, either if you're looking for a full transcript or a summary of. And the sell side is actually using this to train their private AI engines, excuse me. Um, Okay, over to number four, automating meetings uh, for an event, automating the meetings for an event. So right now, our platform offers such automation, whether by requests that are actually happening on either side, the buyer and seller dynamic, or by registration data that's been filled into the event. And it includes like logistical operations about an event, how long the event's taking place, how many locations you actually have to have meetings. Some examples here are creating it in a sandbox environment first so that somebody can see what the meeting spread looks like, dictating the maximum number of meetings for a particular attendee or a particular entity, um, filling accepted or mutual requests first. What we're seeing with our clients is when they use our meeting automation tool is they do this in phases. Perhaps they start with mutual requests first, and then they move on to I want a certain number of meetings for this side or that side of the
So,
equation.
so Cass, can I jump in here with some questions on this?
Please.
So initially, when we sign up a client for a conference, we usually, once we get them into the conference and we receive the registration information from the host firm, we'll sign the client up and take care of all that. That includes putting in, checking the times that the client will be available for one-on-one meetings and so on.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think an AI agent would be able to do that because they wouldn't know what we're thinking until we put it in. And even if we did initially put something in, it's still a standard check the box type thing. It happens in a second. It would take just as long for your agent to do it after we instruct it on something for us to do it than for us to do it ourselves. So where is the AI benefit on this? Because I'm not understanding how AI is involved in setting one-on-ones, accepting one-on-ones, unless of course you're talking about having a buy-sider indicate what type of companies they want to see, and then they agree to allow the AI engine to sort through all the companies that are presenting and select for them what companies they should look to see and then put it on their calendar and then they have to go back. Then the investor goes back and accepts it, and then we would go back and accept the investor.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking, but I just wanted to hear how it's going to be handled on your platform.
No, that's right. Like you've done a really good job explaining that. And what we would consider that is like by registration data. So perhaps they're like indicating in their registration data they're interested in speaking with one sort of company or another from the investor side, or the company is saying like we're really interested in speaking to investors that are in this particular space. And our tool you can utilize that for the creation of the meeting scheduling to identify and recommend the best meetings that could take place.
All right, and then it would sort through all the various people and time slots that the management can meet and that the investor can meet, and it will come up with a theoretical schedule that everyone then has to approve thereafter. Is that how you're thinking it's going to work?
Yeah, absolutely. And with Meetmax, there's sort of like a large spectrum of how a one-to-one meetings program can work. It can be like complete in our sphere, in the sphere that we're talking about here, it's generally very moderated, right? Every meeting is very crucial. So the emphasis put on looking at every meeting that gets recommended or gets scheduled is of the highest importance. But if you pull some layers of that back, there is capability within Meetmax to build a meeting program that is completely unmoderated. And that's generally more utilized in like an association space, etc. So these different layers of like in some or events that we see, there is no blackout time capable. There's no blackout times included. Like it's we expect because you're coming to this event that you have full availability for every meeting that could take place at each time slot. Um, and so that might not even be part of a process. In the future, and if an organization has decided to allow for like blackout times and availability to be included, that gets taken into account, plus what the organizer might already have of that client's history. I'm actually going to just move on to the fifth one because what we're discussing is really identifying the best
Uh,
meetings based on client meeting history, research interests, and express sentiment being generally what has been collected in registration data. Because what is important is that we're utilizing information that is true of that organization's relationship, that host's relationship with that company. Um,
so let me dig
and
in on this one. Let's say Needham holds a conference in January for growth companies, and MeetMax is their portal that they're using. You're the
yeah,
platform. Um, and my client is going to be there, and they have meetings with 20 different people. That's all registered there. Now, 3 months later, they're going to go, say, to the Roth conference, and MeetMax is what's used there as well. Let's just say, probably is, but I'm just let's assume it is.
yeah. You're talking
Um,
about complete two different hosts,
yeah,
really.
two different
Same
hosts
company.
is so now if your agents are collecting data as to who met who, when, and where, and are they going to be able to use things learned from the Needham conference to make scheduling recommendations for meetings at the Roth conference?
We're still picking at that because there's a lot of layers from a information sharing perspective. But uh, as it says here, that we sort of have a project piloting on like how companies' information associated with separate hosts can take into account projected needs and where interests are moving because interests don't stay the same, right? Um, but I hope to have more on that very soon for you. But right now, we're just researching with reference to that.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't know how Needham could block you from using the data that's very obvious, which is, Mr. John Smith from Fidelity is meeting with ticker symbol ABCD. And then knowing that they met there, they might want a meeting at the Roth conference too. But then again, Roth and Needham may not want you to be able to use that information. So that's where I see a potential conflict coming in. But I don't know how they're going to block you from using that very basic information.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and that's the kind of thing that our teams are talking about right now. Because the idea for more, I recently went to another event in corporate access, and apart from AI being the number one topic that was talked about, no surprises there. The second topic talked about most often was transparency, and how transparency can play a role amongst two different hosts, right? Of data, just like the data you just described. Um, but right now, the answer is we'll see. But we're a lot closer now to that than we were 5 years ago. I can tell you that for sure. And I can tell you on our side in MeetMax, even like less than 2 years ago, we were still only tiptoeing into this sphere, and now we are putting lots of effort behind it on our side, which won't be the first time, and certainly I hope won't be the last time you hear that. Not from just us, but from the tech space in general.
Okay.
Great. Awesome. So I really have gone through all five on our side here, and then just in summary, I mean, starting at the first one, like virtual support agents in tech, answering questions instantly for you, um, actual artificial intelligence, setting up and managing the event, um, fast access to unbiased source for company presentation. Like I said, we have clients using this right now at their events to get information fast and information that is like objective. And then the last two items, meeting automation, and quick suggestions for the best meetings that should take place based on client history.
All right. Okay. Sorry. So now we'll go into more questions. And the first one would be, which AI modeling or language are you folks using?
That's a great question. I'm sorry, but let me get back to you on that. I don't know the answer.
All right. I always like to stump the guests.
Yeah.
All right. So another question that I have, and if anyone else here who's listening on the call right now wants to ask, please jump in or submit something on the communications chain here. Um, so within the corporate access realm, what do you see other companies doing within, the event technology platform space?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have to tell you something that we're seeing a lot of is virtual and hybrid inclusion. Um, what we had thought was going to be the case, and we're seeing a lot of events in person still, and that space is growing as well. But we do have a lot of organizations that are sticking to virtual even post-COVID. Um, And our tools, because MeetMax is integrated directly with SummitCast, you kind of have the best of both worlds of like a fully branded experience. Excuse this because I know we're on Zoom and then so many people utilize Zoom, but the experience of Zoom is less branded. I mean, the most we can brand is what we're seeing in our backgrounds right now. And we do that fully ourselves, right? Not necessarily about event host created. So we're seeing a lot of increase in virtual and hybrid.
Hybrid meaning like you have an in-person conference, but some companies want to participate virtually, so you're enabling that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have virtual studios to do that, and operators plus backup operators to ensure the feed is going directly into the presentation room. If
Okay.
that happens too, right? I mean, that happens regardless because of weather, if anything else.
Yeah, well, I've been to many outdoor events, particularly on the West Coast, where there have been near natural disasters going on, and the investor event itself was largely outdoors, and it created a lot of complications. Where in one case they had to just cancel the conference, and everybody left uh, after
That was there.
the first day of a 2-day conference. Um, so let's see what else. And by the way, anyone, if you have a question, please jump in. Otherwise, I think I have one or two more. For the usage of AI here, is there a change in your pricing methodology for the cost of using your
Not
service?
at the moment. No, no. Our where we've already implemented AI and automation, it's part of our tooling already.
Okay, now let's say you have a conference or you're going to ho do your own, say, analyst day, and we're using your platform to support our analyst day. Since you're doing all these conferences, is there a way that we can infiltrate it? Say, we want to create an
Ah,
invitation.
ah, ah.
Not sure what that is, but so I would go to your portal and say invite anyone that appeared at a conference uh, that was interested in a semiconductor company because my client that's doing the analyst day is a semiconductor company and we want to enhance and expand the audience participation. Do you
Got
allow us
it.
to go into your system, given all the data that you're now collecting?
Yeah. We are not a CRM in that way. However, we do have lead retrieval tools in that sense that like you can collect information, but it's all providing the host gives that capabilities. That's a really interesting thought though. I'm gonna write that down for sure. And you're saying because you generally take control of like the MeetMax platform with reference to the company that you're representing. Is that right, Jordan?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. The idea behind that is, we're inviting people to join our analyst day. And there's always going to be more people that we don't know. So maybe your system from all the conferences that you're handling, and I know there's a lot of them, and they're really good conferences. You might have the data in there that can enable us to. I mean, we could always go to our CRM, and we use multiple CRMs ourselves, paid and our internal ones,
Of course.
to source for semiconductor analysts. But um, there may just be new people that we just don't know, and there's always more.
There's always more. Yep, absolutely. And MeetMax has updated information is what you're saying too, because we were talking about information that happened at an event just before the summer started as of like last week.
Right. So yeah, so it could be that someone just is moving into the sector. Maybe they're, rotational. They're generalists, but they never used to look at semiconductors, but suddenly they are for whatever reason, and they're starting to get more acclimated to it, and they're now going to conferences and meeting with companies, and maybe they hadn't done that in the past. So there could be things like that.
Hmm.
Or the CRM solutions that we're using, maybe the data is just very broad and general and not specific like this. You may be able to have more specific information. Anyway, let's move on. Jeff submits a question. He asks, for your quarterly conference call service, what are your competitive advantages relative to other providers for that service? What is unique about your portal and services for that?
Yeah. Yeah, for quarterly analyst days, I would say, and I mean, our portal allows you to have multiple our MeetMax portal allows you to have like multiple streams in archive as well, so that if somebody is coming to Q2, Q3, Q4, they can have access directly to previous quarters at the time of your quarterly review. So that's, I would consider that one advantage. And then the second advantage I'll say from quarterly reviews is that our support, our service support. We often have multiple operators where other providers may not. And because of that, we can continue a stream even with like audio or visual disruptions.
Okay. And a final question. This is not AI related, um, but it's more about trending of how quarterly earnings calls are being held. Are you, what's your sense of how companies are doing them these days? Is it still the standard format where they read their prepared remarks and then go into Q&A? Or are you seeing more and more companies do recorded audio, recorded video, live video? What are you seeing now as being the leading edge, cutting edge? What's most productive and most informative and helpful and appreciated by the buy side and sell
Yeah,
side?
absolutely. What we're seeing a lot of is recorded content with live Q&A following.
Okay, and that's all audio, not video.
A combination of both. Um, Kind of depends on the budget of the client, I'll say. Um, we have one client that actually it was a sales kickoff, but they did the whole thing video in 5 different locations at the same time.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today's event. Thank you. That was very informative. I guess we can see for sure that you guys are doing a lot of work on what 5 different fronts on the AI uh, influence to your platform. So there's a lot to follow up with and to track you guys. So please keep us informed of what's being rolled out and what we can try out if there's anything that we can do on the IR agency side. And that will conclude our monthly installment of Tech Tuesdays with Darrow Associates. Thanks to Cash Bordash from TWST or Twist and MeetMax for speaking about her firm's latest innovations for AI's impact on their platform. And thanks to all of you for participating today. Keep your eye on knowledge base at the cutting edge. Please join us in August when we talk with B2I Technologies about their software-driven IR websites. Until then, we trust our Tech Tuesday sessions are helpful in implementing your IR strategies. Thanks again for joining us, and goodbye to everyone.
Thank you so much.